Hey there, welcome back to another session. I've decided not to upload my world design and editing stuff because they're just gonna be dull. I'm currently adding an item. It's a simple collectible. It's a simple chip. With custom resources. So now we need some sort of okay. Oh, that's rough. I'll be using the high click button. Yeah, this one's nice for a coin-like collectible. So I'm just going to add the stream player. I'll have to lower the volume of this though. Oh. Yeah, it's fine. Maybe change the pitch. So now when I collect this chip, it should play a sound, but it didn't. Yeah, it's supposed to play the sound. Oh. Oh, it's here. Maybe it's freed too fast. Nope. Let's set autoplay if I'm going to hear it. Yeah. So the problem here is it gets freed. Too fast. Maybe I should create a global or something else to play sound effects. So that this doesn't happen. Or well, in this case I can just move this into the player, which removes a lot of issues. I'll cut this out, go into player. You already have an SFX here, which is the step. So I'll just rename this to step. Paste. Chip collect. And here you just play SFX chip collect. Yep. Sometimes you have to move stuff into different nodes in order for it to work normally. Also, I've been experimenting with a very high contrast tile set. As you can see, I've cranked up the contrast to a point where you only have black and white, and now it fits nicely. There's some minor shades of gray, but most of this fits pretty well, if you ask me. Oh, I still have to fix this dialog box. If RTL visible characters does not equal RTL, packed string array. I still make sure that this is the current page. Yep, this is what I wanted. When you confirm, the whole stuff shows up instead of dropping the thing. Let's see if this works with multiple pages. So I'm going to have to open my level. I'll also change this quite a bit. Well, it changed because I cranked up the contrast. Nice. Now it works the way I want it. Game also has a name. I think I mentioned that previously. It's a working title, but it works pretty nice. I've been thinking how to make items, because something about making them resources just doesn't sit well, because I want different sprites for this, and I would have to save the sprite frames as a resource. This is how it looks. It's a chip kind of thing. I could probably just shrink this down actually to make this more consistent with what I want, but yeah, then it gets squished real bad. So now I will have to make it smaller normally. Alright, this introduces an issue. If the player has the collect sound effect, then that means that everything will sound like that, unless I patch it up in the code, which is not good. So how can we do this? I know how we can do this. Okay. Let's turn off this here, and let's go back to our item drop, and here we'll duplicate the node, and we parent it to the window. Now we connect the sound finished signal, if it exists. Audio stream player, finished. Connect finished to Q3, or rather SFX Q3, and then we free it after we play it. So the sound effect in the collectible will exist purely as purely to be copied, which means I can re-add it here and remove it from player. Paste. So now, nice. It deletes itself once it finishes playing. You could also add it to an auto load and like have like a junk node where we just upload or duplicate stuff like this. I could have created a new node, but why if I can just do this? And now I do have a resource here, but it's just a name which I've given it. I'm trying to think of a way how to collecting chip. Save data player. Chips. Make this a string for now, and amount an integer. Type. So in our global function we have to set up the player stuff. Oh. Item resource. I mean, I could place the data here, but why? All the data can be in the resource, but that means I'm just moving this data elsewhere. Because that's just pretty much what it's gonna have to be. It's maybe not such a bad idea. Okay, we'll move it there. Let's see how this plays out. So we have the resource, item resource type, item resource amount. So now the resource has to have a name. Scene is not required. Why is this here? Resource item, don't need this. And we just to export var amount integer and export var type string. Did I just repeat the mistake like completely? Yeah. Chips. Chip. Well, maybe we could make use of this in some way. Chip 1. Okay, turning off a lot of debug info. Interesting. So that turns off these, and now I have to check where I'm printing stuff. Roll. We have here pickupable. Dummy function. Dialog box. Player enemy. Let's see. We don't need this at all. Let's get rid of them. This can stay. This can also stay. It's still not done yet. Then we had something else, maybe. wandering. We'll get rid of this waiting stuff. Create a new timer. We can also delete this. Missing property. We should probably promote this to either an error or a warning. I think I'm going to make this an error. So we are turning some stuff into errors so that we can capture bugs more frequently. This should remove a bunch of redundant prints. Still prints wandering. Okay. Cool. Effectively removed a bunch of silly prints. This could be useful for making, for example, water or grass. If the Y sort will be made properly, then you can actually make something actually pretty neat with this. And there's some stuff I need to fix here. Same here and here. But overall, I really like how this looks. I really like high contrast black and white stuff. It feels sketchy and you know, manga-ish. When you read the comics, black and white mangas, I really like the high contrast thick lines, that kind of stuff. And it's also easy to do because it's just two colors, so it tends to look good even if it's bad, because pixel art. At least in my opinion. And it's also easy to convert colored stuff into black and white. Just increase the exposure and modify the levels to your liking. I haven't done much with this yet. There was something I wanted to mention, but kind of forgot what I wanted to do, or say rather. Well, never mind. Probably wasn't as important. Oh, I've deleted my coin data. So this will be kind of annoying. Let's try merge. I think the dictionaries have merged in glog. Where is this? Cannot. Oh, okay. And we'll just do this. New dictionary and player gets merged with new dictionary. Chips on base dictionary. It's a game save. For key in data. So I'm going to have to save the game first, and then it should work, and it doesn't. How about this? Nice. The chips stay at 0 for some reason. We do set them here. Up user data. this won't tell me much. So I think it's stored as 1. So let's just print the data. Yep. Overwrite is false. Oh, okay, so in this case I would want to overwrite this. And now yep. Okay, so sometimes reading the documentation can save your butt. This also means that you can farm chips by collecting them, by reloading the area, which is something I'm leaving like this because I don't need to keep track of every single like money drop, because you'll be destroying stuff like crates and enemies which will drop this stuff by default, so there's no point in keeping track of something like this unless it's a big item like 100 chips in a chest or something. I'm probably going to have to think now of a lot of stuff. Like I may still make a few videos about making an inventory and more items. I have some items planned, but I still need to plan more. So in a way the basic functionality of a lot of stuff is done. I just need health, this stuff, and I might not actually make a video on those because I consider them to be pretty easy to implement. So far I haven't used the rolls I've made because that wasn't necessary. I could have made like a pickupable and I had it prepared, like a roll for everything I want to be pickupable, but I didn't really know the stuff I want in this class or in this node. And another thing is that you can just copy this stuff and change the animated sprite, you know, or I could maybe just load them dynamically from code and have this semi-automatic, and I just specify the name here or a resource which contains a path and stuff like this. So I'm using the resource now of the chip, which only has like virtually nothing, just these settings. And the way you make a resource, well, there's a video that explained a lot better, but there's a resource, the way you make a resource is just like this is the whole thing. You set your name, extends resource, you type in the stuff you want, even functions maybe, and then down here in this lower left area you go to your desired folder, create new resource, and you look at the one you've just added, and you can add a resource this way. And that can be useful because you can hold references to them, and the way they are structured makes them quite easy to save if you wanna serialize them. They should be easy to do, at least in my opinion. So saving a packed scene is a valid approach to saving the game. But for now, this is going to be it for the session. And there might be a longer pause, because right now, as I've said, I will have to make a lot of decisions. I have to consult my documentation. I have to brainstorm a few ideas and finish up the basic stuff like health, and maybe there will be a video on the inventory and pause menu, which are going to be one thing. You pause, you have inventory, etc. But for the most part, I will not be recording myself creating levels, because I honestly don't know how I would commentate over that. If I move this down a little, I honestly don't know how I would comment on a lot of stuff. Oh, works well. It's hiding. And a lot of stuff like health, I need to brainstorm as well, because I don't want it to be just a bar. I'll maybe make it more interesting, something more fun. He's pushing me. Fixed it with moving the collision a little. And I've kind of ran out of stuff to talk about, because I keep doing the same thing, right? I create my item first before I decide for anything more complicated, like generics, like roles, because so far I haven't used them. Even though I've prepared the interface for it, the only thing I've prepared are the actual interfaces, which are simply just a collection of constants that vaguely describe the object. Like, maybe I don't even want this, but you can do this too. If if that's necessary. Right, so pickupable. This is not something I use because honestly we check from the item if a player has picked up this thing. Otherwise, yeah. The most important method is collect, which is the function I implemented in the player here. I just need to add this to something, right? Actually, I don't even need to do that because the item collection has been relegated to here. So maybe I'll do this instead. That's probably better, since now well, it depends really. It really depends. I walked you through how to make your own debug command line, which as you can see I'm making extensive use out of by simply checking if the data is the way I expect. Saving, loading. I've covered pretty much every moderately complicated thing that's actually pretty simple. So I'm only going to leave you with a few words of advice, and that's number one, don't overcomplicate things. You don't need to include composition and all this stuff. Then let's save this. As you can see in my roles, I have not made any role yet. The interfaces is something that just describes the objects I have in my game, but it's nothing complicated. It's just dictionaries and checking if the object has the methods, properties, whatever. Always first implement the thing you're like one instance of what you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to add 10 items, don't think about how you can make an API or interface system for 10 items. Make one item and see what kind of stuff you actually need in that item. Don't over-engineer things, and don't engineer stuff before you actually start implementing stuff, because you won't either use all the complicated stuff like health components and other stuff. Don't do that. First implement the stuff the most simple and straightforward way, and once you have a solution, then you can think about how you can modularize and parameterize your solution to multiple things. The easiest way to reuse your code is to create first a library. If you know something will be used multiple times, like NPC Wonder, which I first only implemented in the enemy, and then I decided that, well, it's good to have it for NPCs as well. And then this animate walk, which is for NPCs and enemies, and this is called just from those scripts respectively, here and here. As you can see, the NPC script is quite different from the enemy. So theoretically this could have been inheritance, but I really urge you to not use inheritance, because when you want to introduce changes to one, it will not affect the other, and with inheritance it would, and then it would introduce propagating bugs, and that's not good. First, implement stuff. Implement one instance of the thing you want. Like, I want items, okay, so I implemented the first instance of an item, called it item drop, and here's my item. Now I look at the stuff that I need for this item. So in this case I created a resource which holds information about my item, the name, the amount, the type, meaning the dictionary, the key in the save data dictionary, which probably it's not the best idea to save it like this because of typos and whatnot, but yeah, this is the stuff I need to make an inventory count, and also save it automatically as well, because I'm thinking of saving the game a lot. I'm imagining people will be saving it in the overworld and anywhere, so this is why I prefer to have stuff in dictionaries, because yeah, that's just how it is. It's easier to save it, because if you have a very complicated structure, inheritance and whatnot, how are you going to save the game when you have some complicated classes that have these custom resources and whatnot, and then you have to implement like serialization, and you have to convert it into a dictionary anyway. Sometimes maybe you can serialize the whole object as is in binary formats, but yeah, implement the thing you need, do the thing you need to do, and then look at what you did and what you need. So I need a way to define sprites here for my item. I need a way to select the noise, the collection noise. I need to well, I don't technically need this for every object, but it's nice to be able to customize it. And then some data on the item that will be dropped. So all of this ideally would be in one place, which is something I've explained, that I just moved the data that would normally be here to here, and so far it's not very useful, but when I'm doing an inventory it might come in handy, because then I can just pull up this, but this doesn't have information about the animation, so this might not be the best way to do this. But yeah, don't implement stuff beforehand, like don't program in order for it into the future. You know, how am I supposed to say this? Don't create complicated structures for objects. If you know already that you're going to make use out of something, for example, the interfaces, they're useful because I don't have to check for these in multiple places. I can just check this. I could also use roles, which would function pretty much like components. But oh, and don't be afraid of global variables. I don't know why people hate them. You need to manage them properly. Stuff like player classes and pushbook class. I guess I could remove this. I have a player here that just expects the player class, so I can access the player from anywhere, because honestly that decouples the player from everything. If you think about it, if I can access the player from anywhere, then it's basically not coupled to any specific object. It just combined with the global. You could say it's coupled here, but it's not really tight coupling. You can access the player from anywhere and check the player data if you need to. And honestly, I haven't really used this much, but sometimes, yeah. Obviously, adding global stuff like you wouldn't globalize this, because there's no point in doing that, to add this to some global dictionary of objects that are loaded. But sometimes it makes sense, like camera, active camera, right? It kind of makes sense to have a pointer to this, because you can move it, you can configure it anywhere from here, and all you have to do is set it from the place, from ready. For example, here I'm setting this the active camera to the camera the player has. I set the process mode to always, even though I've set that in the editor. I have some bugs here still. Maybe I can delete some of this. I think I fixed some of that. I guess the best advice is just start doing this, whatever you're trying to do, and maybe create a library of functions that you suspect will be useful. If not, you can still move stuff here and it's relatively painless. All you have to do is include the parameters, and you don't have to worry about moving nodes around or dependencies between components, such stuff, right? You don't have to worry about that. It's just a library, and you can promote other things later up. So this might be the last session in a while that I'll be doing, because I'm running out of stuff to do and talk about. I could still implement an inventory, but that's going to take a bit, and maybe I'll make still, like, when there's inventory, when there's other stuff. But first, I'm saying it's the last one in a while because I need to work on my game design document and read up on some game design stuff as I'm approaching some sort of basic functionality. Like, there's still spikes I need to make, there's spits I need to make, and all this different kind of stuff. And once I implement a good number of these, I will make another video where I will then continue these sessions, and just like before, I will go over the code I've written for them. The last piece of advice would be to set up a version control system. I'm using Fossil. You can use Git or anything that works for you. And I can drop sound effects. But most of all, make sure you make a prototype with placeholder art. If you want your placeholder art to look neat, then, or at least somewhat nice, choose 2 or 3 colors, 4 at most, and convert some tile set to those colors, and then you can have something to look at least. And then some ambient music, and work on the stuff you need to work on, because from the game design documents and game design books, they really put pressure on the fact that you need to have something you can play so you can see if it's even fun to play. So far, there's no real gameplay here. Like, you can kill enemies, but I still have to balance something. I still need to design something, right? Right now I was just implementing basic stuff, but yeah, this is the second stage where I need to finish up some stuff, spikes, other enemies, maybe 3 types of enemies, and then design 1 or 2 mini dungeons where all of these elements will come into play. And then I can actually play the game and see if it's fun for me. Obviously, I will have to playtest this with other people, because I can solve my puzzles because I made them, and I need to figure out if these puzzles will be nice or interesting or difficult, or so simple that it's not fun to even think about them. So yeah, thanks for watching all this time, and brief hiatus. And after that, once I have more stuff to show, I will continue these sessions, walk through some stuff, and I hope to see you when that happens. In the meantime, I don't know if I'm gonna upload many videos, but maybe not, it depends. Okay, anyway, thanks, have a good one, and I'll see you later.